How you doing, Miss Josephine?
Just peachy. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
And if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you.
Mr. Doyle, we took care of the budget last time. Why is that back on the agenda? I'm just asking. I didn't know if it was something that they didn't
I think
take the
we
money.
we have
I'm Bizak.
Yeah, we just had the meeting July 7th. It was only 17 minutes.
So they can get some wheels on their chair
Literally.
Okay, let's do two.
every time.
No, it says Thursday, July 7th.
Howdy, Jose. Howdy, Dr.
What does it say? No, it says the members that are present,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and then it says the votes, all the stuff. But okay, I don't know if I meant to say that at all. No. It said it was adjourned by me, but I don't know. So I'm guessing that's what constitutes. If you look on the last page.
I know you.
Glad we left it.
It was pretty
Yes, it did.
Sir, how was just that open street?
I was just at a Yeah, that's true.
me too.
Hi, Tamika.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Dr. Sherman, how are you, sir? I like to go with I can't complain. Yeah.
What's happening? What is this?
That's like 6 o'clock.
I didn't take this? I thought I had it. I did. Oh, on Thursday. Yeah.
Okay, so it is now 6 o'clock. So I would like to call to order the third meeting of the 2022 Pontiac Charter Revision Commission. Roll call.
Today would be
Burrows, Garrett,
present.
Killian, Payne, Ramsey,
Present.
Present.
Turpin, Williams, Ibarra.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Killiam?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, supported by
Garrett.
Garrett. Thank you.
Garrett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin, Williams, Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows.
Yes.
Commissioner Killian excused for a personal reason.
Thank you. Our next item is the amendment to an approval of the agenda. Do we have any amendments?
Yes, I would ask, Madam Chair, that we remove item C under item 4C, Charter Commission 2022 and 23 approved budget. We went over it at last meeting.
Second.
So there was a move to remove item C under agenda items because that was taken care of at the last meeting.
Second.
And it was seconded, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Any other changes? Can I make an amendment? I would like to move public comment up to item number 6 before agenda items.
You say before agenda item?
Yes,
Second.
Is that just for this meeting or a permanent move?
just for this meeting. I
Okay.
would like to talk about it, but specifically for this meeting.
Okay. You already have a supporter.
We already have a move and support.
Yeah.
It can just be included together.
Yes, thank you. Any other amendments? Okay, can we vote on the amendments?
Payne,
Yes, to amend.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Garrett.
Yes.
All right, that's 8-0.
All right, and now can I get an approval of the agenda with amendments?
So moved by Garrett.
Support. You can take the support.
I'll take the
Stewart.
support from Stewart, thank you. I got it.
Payne,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes,
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin, Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows, Garrett.
Yes.
8-0.
thank you. Now I need a move to approve the agenda minutes from July 7th.
Moved by Garrett.
Support.
Yes, by Jose, yes. Yabara, say it for me.
Ibarra.
Ibarra.
Ramsey,
Abstain.
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin, Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
7-1.
You didn't think that should be amended?
Thank you.
Let me make sure this-
Okay.
All right, now we are on public comment. Do we have any public comment? No?
Let me get the sheet. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, no public comment, thank you. All right, we go to agenda items, a resolution to approve the 2022 meeting schedule.
You need a motion, or this just discussion?
I believe we're doing
I was-
discussion.
Okay.
I was gonna say, let's do discussion.
So at this point, we have, the Charter Revision Commission meetings will hold its regular meetings on the fourth Thursday evening at 6 PM in City Council chambers at City Hall. That would be August 25th, September 22nd, October 22nd, November 17th, and December 22nd, all at 6 PM. Yes.
I would ask that we change that December 22nd meeting, just because it's probably during holiday time, so I don't know if we want to schedule it the week earlier. Just
So
we
it
can have
would
a quorum.
be the
Yeah.
15th.
You said that-
December 15th works for people?
I would second that.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
So you said move it from the, which is the
December the
22nd, oh,
22nd.
to the 15th?
Yes.
Wait, let me look at the 15th too. Oh, good.
Oh, because of, you saying because of Christmas and?
Yes.
Yeah, just all of the holidays are right there.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I can
All right.
support it, yeah.
Any other comments, changes?
I just had a question. Do you think that, because we were talking about, we may have to meet more than once a month? Should we put anything under there saying that there may be changes in that? No? Okay, we'll leave it there.
May I just help out Commissioner Payne? We did agree on monthly meetings towards the end of the month, but at the beginning of the months, more towards listening sessions with the community as a way to so-called hold a meeting. And instead of we would go to them and inform them all the information, and if they would have any questions, they could come to the fourth Thursday of the month and discuss with us, their concerns and whatnot of what we put out during the listening discussions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess my only concern is 6 p.m. is late. Going over parts of the charter might take a long time, and that leaves us working later during the daytime. And then in the cold winter months, that's just a lot. So I would like us to reconsider the time, or maybe we can do it another day where we can have more time scheduled in the day. But I just think it leads to us trying to rush through things so that we're not here later at night. Commissioner Garrett.
So you saying move it up to maybe 4? I don't know how people work. I mean, I'm pretty much, the Thursday worked for me. I'm sorry. I watched the meeting online, so I understood the discussion last few weeks ago about having it at 6. But to your point, I think the furthest we can probably go up is 4 o'clock if people work. I know people work during the day.
Right.
So it's already pretty much a long day. So, but if they're going to be discussions at the top of the month that we're going to have to prepare for, even presentations to citizens, wouldn't we just call a special meeting at that time, or if we could?
For the early listening sessions in the month?
Yeah, for the early listening sessions in the month, we would at least need to know what we're going to talk to the public about. So are we planning on doing like committees?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if that committee structure, the sooner we get that established, it'll take less stress off the regular meetings that's scheduled. So we wouldn't necessarily have to change at 6. I'm just saying, if you have to change them, I don't think you should do it no earlier than 4 o'clock and no later than 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else feel strongly or have
Well-
any pushback about 4?
I do work, and I'm typically off by 5 o'clock. Some of the things that I do after 5 o'clock, I can do at 8, if I can stay awake. But 6 o'clock fits me pretty good in terms of our regular meetings, in terms of, the bread and butter stuff. These other things were excursions out into the community. I would probably have to be excused because I don't think I could make those unless, special arrangements were made for that particular meeting. So as long as the bread and butter meeting stays at 6 o'clock, that's good for me.
Okay.
When these meets with the community, I might have to abstain from those.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Commissioner Stewart?
Yeah, I would probably stick with like a 6, just because it does leave a little bit of time for those that do work later, or don't have as much flexibility. I don't know how everybody feels, but that is a little bit better.
No, I totally understand. Commissioner Ibarra?
I do not mind the 6 o'clock during the summertime. I do understand that the 4 o'clock, as daylight savings time ends, of course, the days get shorter. So Pretty. I mean, I would assume we're pretty flexible with time, other than maybe there's an afternoon meeting at 4 p.m. of some sort. Um, but I would be willing to work with my other teammates, however we see fit.
Thank you. I have a question for the clerk and the deputy clerk. Can we say this is when we're gonna be finished and then move on to the next one? We don't have to be here to finish out anything. We can move the discussion to the next meeting, correct?
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
I'm not gonna be here at 10 o'clock. So is there any way that we can say this like we stopped here and
Oh,
we can
okay.
move things to the next month?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll table this agenda item to the next meeting.
Okay, so we can do that. Like if we're in the middle of something
Yes.
and it seems to be like we're not gonna get a conclusion, we can move it to the next.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'm good then.
Yeah, and I'll,
Just to note my preference, I'm not gonna be here at no 10 o'clock, doing no charter commission, nothing.
yeah, I was just gonna say I think the committees will be really helpful with that anyway, and so I think the 6 p.m. regardless makes it easier if we have experts maybe who are coming or others who may need to speak at these meetings, including the committee. So, yes, I agree. We ain't trying to be here till 10.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Madam Chair, I was just gonna say almost the same thing, but in the winter months, what we can do is to limit the time that we're here. We can say that we're gonna be here for 2 hours or 3 hours, and then that way, when that time comes, then we're done.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think we should do that consistently, summer or
Right.
winter time.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So for the meeting schedule, we have August the 25th, September the 22nd, October the 22nd, 7th, thank you, 27th, November 17th, and December 15th. So move from the 22nd to the 15th, all at 6 p.m. All right, it looks like discussion is over, so I guess we're moving for a vote
I'll motion.
Well, it was a motion,
to change.
December
15th.
22nd to the 15th.
Okay, so we have to vote on that first.
Yes, and was there support on that? I know Williams, Payne, okay. Thank you, all right, so let's get that vote. Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin, Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows, Garrett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Ramsey.
Yes.
Okay, that's 8-0 on changing from December 22nd to December 15th.
And now we can vote to approve the schedule as amended.
Yes.
Motion.
Support.
Thank you. Motion by Stewart, support by Gilbert.
Turpin, I'm sorry. You need to, Turpin?
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows, Garrett,
Yes by Gilbert.
Payne,
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gil, Garrett, I'm sorry. COVID brain, just,
Ramsey,
yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
8-0.
Stewart started it.
I couldn't help myself.
Is that why you was laughing
Yeah.
down there?
I was like, oh, Gilbert. Okay.
Gil, Garrett, okay, thank you. Thank y'all for the support. Okay. All right, so the next item is the discussion of the establishments of rules and committees for the commission. All right, so if you
Okay.
look after the budget, agenda D item. So I guess we can start discussing this.
Sure.
Okay, I'll go with Williams and then Stewart.
Okay, under replacements, I just want to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. In the event of the removal, resignation, or death of a commissioner upon a majority of the charter commission, the commission shall fill the vacancy, and then it goes on. Should that be, should it be listed as following these actions? Because it says upon a majority vote of the commissioners. The commission can't vote on the removal of a commissioner or the resignation of a commissioner. Do you get what I'm saying? The way that reads, it just says comma, comma, comma.
What page are you on?
I'm on
What
page
section?
One of
one,
five
on
after
replacement,
Agenda D.
replacement, so.
One and,
Agenda D, right here, on the first page, where it says draft replacement, right here, you're going too far. Too fast.
track.
So it's saying, in the event of a removal, resignation, of death of the commissioner, of a commissioner, upon a majority vote of the commissioner shall fill.
Oh, the first page.
Yeah,
Right. 'Cause that's, yeah.
no, I'm just saying, I understand what it means,
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm saying is.
I agree with you. Yeah, because it moves into as if we can, it speaks as if we can vote out a commissioner, and we don't have the authority to do so.
Am I supposed to be finding the wording?
No, I just wanted to bring it up, but this,
Okay.
before we approve the agenda, maybe
Yeah.
we send it to law or whatever. I just don't know. I understand the intent. It makes sense if somebody resigns or dies, that then we have to vote to fulfill the vacancy based on the next highest vote getter. So it makes sense, but I don't think the commas are appropriate, and I don't know legalese, but a comma says "and succession," or a comma is a "and." So that means, and we can remove people,
Or you can,
according to where it reads.
or you can add a period
Mhm.
and say, add a period, and then a majority vote of the commission,
fill the
the commission shall fill a vacancy in its membership by appointing as a, because it makes it more,
Okay.
or what we have done in the past, a or shall, whatever you want to use, whatever word.
Okay, so, can you read the new language?
I'm saying, in the event of the removal, resignation, or death of a commissioner, period, by a majority vote of the commission shall fill a vacancy in its membership by appointing as a member of the commission the willing eligible candidate not elected but determined to have and receive the next highest number of votes of the people of the city of Pontiac at the election held Tuesday, May 3rd of 2022. I had a somewhat of a problem with that, because in any other structure, people have a right to put in an application. It's just not given to the third person because they got the majority of the vote.
I
So-
think that's law.
Well-
Isn't that law?
No,
Oh,
it's not.
no?
No.
Okay.
So for like school board or any other elected seat, even it doesn't just because you came in third or you got the least money. I think it shall be that the people we vote to approve the next commissioner, but it's through the application process of
Yeah.
whatever we decide the application process. I'm not in agreement with giving it to the next person because they're the next person up.
Okay.
I believe that's the way the council votes.
Yeah,
Anyone
I
else?
disagree with that. Just
Not a council.
just on the basis that in some municipalities this is how it works, and I think it's a fairer process than arbitrarily deciding against what the people voted for. And so we've seen people be appointed in positions that have never ran for office or anything else, but because they have favor of the commission at the time they get in those positions. So I just want to vocalize that as making sure that we're not arbitrarily choosing what represents the will of the people.
I have a rebuttal. Oh, but go ahead.
Oh, Commissioner Payne.
No, go ahead. This first.
Oh, I was just thinking the council, the city council worked in that way. If there's a death or when there was a death, they actually did an application or something or someone. So I think that we need to see what the city has, let's keep it all in order. If that is a process that the council has adopted, then maybe we should keep that until we decide to make some changes in the revised vision of it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry, Bill.
For me, and to Commissioner's Payne, point as well, the city does it, the school district does it as it may be. I think we should continue along that same process. The problem with me saying the next person up is because during any voting block or any voting election is voting at that time. That means there was a campaign, there were things done for that particular season at that time. That doesn't mean that's the people's wishes during the time that somebody may resign or die or move on, then that's the city's wish at that particular point in time. We go back to that person or that particular person that was in line. If that will be the case, then we do a special election. That's why we forego that and have, saving that money and then have an application process. Those who want to be, I think we can determine as commissioners and people of the city that you have an application in, we review the application process, and then we are elected by the body to make decisions. We're very capable of making a decision of saying, hey, this person at this time is the best person that we feel as a commission.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just want to rebut really quickly. I was in the position where I was the third vote getter in an election for school board at the time, and the process that they had, even though I was the third vote getter, and the process they usually went by at the time was to interview the third vote getter. I didn't get any vote or any opportunity to even apply for that position after I was the third vote getter. And so what I'm saying to you is, if there's not a special election or a process, it needs to be a fair application process for the people and not a closed system. So if we're going to change it from the next vote getter up, we need to make sure that the process is fair and not a popularity thing. It's just my point, because I've been on both ends of it. I've had to appoint somebody as a council person, and that made my job as a council person very hard. And I don't want to work on a commission where somebody does get nominated, somebody else doesn't get there, and then you have a tug and pull for people. Everybody up here, even though we all ran independently, we didn't have to choose the other person that's sitting up here. So now we can all work together. If you pick somebody and somebody doesn't get picked, it may reflect poorly on the passage of the charter, because now you've got somebody in the community that's an enemy, where if you go by the election, no matter who the third person is or whatever, it's a fair process that most people can understand that they ran and actually got a number of votes.
Thank you. Commissioner Turpin, and then.
I don't know what I want to say, but I think that the simpler the better. If these people have already voiced a desire to serve in this capacity, then that would be the first place I would go. To throw other names into the hat, and vest them whether or not they're worthy of being on this. It's a little bit excessive. I think that we need to be as simple as possible, because this is basically just the work that is required of a city in order to have a meaningful means by which we govern ourselves. We don't need a whole bunch of people wanting to be on here to see themselves on here. If these people had already established that they're interested in doing this work, it's not easy work, really. You probably already realize that you see that the task before you, as you get into the perspective of what it's all about, there's a little bit of work and thought process that needs to go into it. So, keeping the politics out of it, keeping it as simple as possible, the likelihood of needing to go to the well for a bunch of new members on this committee is not likely to happen. These people, we are here, and we're going to grind this thing out. Nobody else wants to get up here and start grinding like we have to, what they see that we have to do. So I'm in favor of the people that voiced the desire to be here in the first place, that we would go through that list before we open up the door to anybody else. And I don't likely see it being more than one person. Somebody got sick or something, where I decided I don't go see my grandbabies and stay away.
I understand that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ibarra?
I just wanted to say that although I understand Commissioner Garrett's perspective of wanting to essentially vet somebody to become commissioner, but I do agree with Vice Chair Williams when, this is just a much more, and to Commissioner Turpin, this is much more easier process because at the end of the day, we do only have 2 years. And in the case if somebody does leave, how long is it that we say that we find that perfect person to become charter commissioner? So that's just my thinking on that. Is that we shouldn't not necessarily waste our time, but use most of our time vetting somebody to be the perfect charter commissioner when we have people who did the work of getting votes and have the passion to be on the charter commission.
Thank you. Can I go before you go, please?
You the chair. Yeah.
Thank you.
I yield to you, man.
I hear what everyone is saying, and I guess my opinion is, if the people who had been, let's say, our young lady out here is coming to every meeting, and somebody doesn't show up, and she is like, "Oh, I am interested." Why are we telling her she's not worthy because other people did an election months ago who may not have been as engaged? I'm open, but I think we need to look at people who are showing up and showing interest, and not just people who ran a couple of months ago. And some of these people, all they had to do was get their name on the ballot and didn't do much else other than that. But I whatever process it is, it needs to be fair. But I think just saying because you ran an election 5, 6, 10 months ago, a year and a half ago, and you haven't been engaged, maybe we don't have to get Ms. Taylor caught up on anything because she's already attending all the meetings, right? So why are we telling her no just because somebody ran an election? But I saw that the city of Detroit did that as well. Like they went with the next vote getter. But I also agree with Commissioner Payne. If we just the consistency. And maybe we can change it where this is what the charter is, so that if this happens in council again, like it will just be the highest go-getter if that's what the commission wishes.
Yes.
And then I will, Commissioner Garrett.
Okay, thank you. We are in the city of Pontiac, and so that's where I speak to, and that's where I represent. So it's been done on council. Again, I spoke with that, and it's been done at the school district. And despite how things may have went in any one situation, that is the process. And the process yields itself to endurance. So if you are serious about what you say you are serious about, then you will come back and you will continue to do or put whatever effort it is that you feel deemed for the position that you're going for. There's nothing in this electoral process in the city of Pontiac that I deem to be easy. I don't like the word easy. What's the most easiest approach? We are in a very transitional state in the city of Pontiac, and that's where we at as far as this commission is concerned. If individuals are in that much of a need or want to, be eligible or considered, it should be considered if you are in the process or if you stay diligent in the process. If you put an application in, that does tell me, that does tell me as a person who's sitting here about your interests, about what you say you need to do. If the people elected me to make a decision, then that's the decision that the people elected me to do, not take the easy process by the next one who got the next highest vote. Because if that be the case, then every individual that's listed in this document should be able to put an application in. We're just saying, so their name shouldn't even been written on here if we're gonna go with the next third person, because we know what the next third person is, right? If we're gonna use that. That in itself is a difficult situation. So I don't think you forsake the process of taking the easier way without saying that there has to be an application process. If we do our job the way we need to do our job and make sure that we're presenting something, a charter in front of the people that they have, been vested in and looked at, and we've done that, one person is not going to change that. There's 9 people on the commission for a reason. And so we then have to take that and speak that language to the people so they can pass the charter. If that be the will of the people. It's not going to be an easy task. This charter is not going to be an easy task. There's nothing in this city that's going to be easy, specifically speaking, just from experience in every entity that I've sat in here, moving forward. And so, if again, as the chair has stated, individuals show up to these meetings when they don't have to. They've dedicated their time. They should have a right to put an application process. I don't think we should at this point say, no matter what happens, you're gonna find a place because you was the next vote getter during a particular election where everybody just needed to write their name in the ballot box. So I'm in the city of Pontiac, and that's just what I've seen over the term and years, and I'm just not in support of that, and I'll yield at this time.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah, I just wanted to just say something very briefly. The people speak in one way, and that is by votes. And so the fairest way to do it is to go by the next highest vote getter, because the people have spoken by votes. They won't have an opportunity to speak on any of the picks or whatever that would be decided by the board versus being a more, it's a more republic way of doing things than a democratic way of doing things by going with the actual votes. People had a tally.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Payne.
Did you have go first? You can go. Please
Oh.
go.
Oh, I didn't have
No.
anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to know what is the city's process for that, because what needs to happen is that the consistency needs to happen. And right now, we only have what we've seen from the council and seen from the school board. So again, do we just continue to do this, and then when we get to changing that process, do we do that when we get there?
Thank you. And just for the record, the city, the council votes. They select applications.
Right,
then
that's
the
what I'm
council
saying.
votes.
Yeah, the
Yep.
two,
So that's what they do.
right.
Commissioner Burrows, did you have something? Okay. Oh, yes.
Just wanted to maybe try and compromise. I do, although Gil brings up a great point. I guess I'm worried about making sure that we're not spending most of our time vetting somebody. And say we do lose somebody on the charter commission. There's only 8 people. Every time we come up to somebody with a new person, there's always, what if there's always a divided 4 and 4? I just, maybe we could have some sort of process where if no one does agree on a person, we if they're like a certain limit, say if nobody agrees within 4 weeks or something, within 2 meetings or 3 meetings, I don't then have some sort of pool, like what we have here. We have a charter pool with all the people who were in the previous election. So as long as if we can compromise on just making sure that when we do have this problem, if we ever have this problem, let's hoping we're not, but if we do, just to not spend so much time on it, because we're only in this charter for 3 years.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
To his point, Mr. Commissioner, sir, you won't have to spend a lot of time on it. I mean, it's just the applications. You present a deadline, and then at that particular point in time, a vote is given that day. And people are aware of what the timeline is. More than likely, there's an orientation process. We do have leadership here that can deliver that orientation process. The other part of this is the fact that when you open it up as far as applications and are concerned, the people have elected us to make decisions. That's part of the decision, and so that's why we voting on it today. So if the problem does occur, then we already know what it is. I'm just not. Elections are elected by the people, true enough, but they're elected during a time where everybody has a certain amount of time to have a persuasion or an influence during a certain amount of time. Those times change, and those ideals change. We are in a forever changing moment right now. If we go into a COVID pandemic and we all got to go back on Zoom, and one decides that they don't want to, then what is the process? right? You don't, what if the person decide the next person up says, oh, I don't want it. And then they say, okay, well, do we go to the next person? Oh, I don't want it. Or or somebody resolves, heaven forbid, passes on this list. That's why you do the applications. That's why the city has done it for many, many years. That's why the school district has done it for many, many years. Again, I stick to the aspect of saying we are here to make decisions. And you make decisions, hard ones, easy, but it's a decision. And it's a decision that we live with. If we do our job correctly, and we're presenting a charter to the people that decided to have as much influence into the charter that the people want in there, and we're making decisions and we're going out and we're doing what we're supposed to do, then there'll be no problem, I foresee, in the next 3 years, 2 years, passing or being able to invoke an influence of a strong charter in front of the people of the city of Pontiac saying this will work for our children and our grandchildren. I don't want to take the easy approach about saying I'm going through a pool of people when there's going to be a change in before November. There's going to be a change. We have a primary next week. So there's going to be a change in idea, and Pontiac is evolving, and Pontiac is going into a different space. I can't speak for anywhere else. I speak for Pontiac and my process here. So I yield to that, and if that's my decision, then I'll close my argument.
Thank you. We'll do Commissioner Williams and then Payne.
Just want to speak really quickly. The people elected us to revise this charter, and it symbolizes making some changes. And so just because we've always done it a certain way does not mean that has always been the right way to do things. I'm all about fairness and making sure that we take every opportunity to not be subjective in our decision making, but to actually go by what is the most fair in order to do something. The most fair way is because everybody had a vote on this particular charter commission. We all ran, the other people ran, and so if the next person up was different or whatever, there might be different conversation. But the fair way to do this is to go by the next highest vote getter. It works in municipalities all across the country. Pontiac does not have a monopoly on good ideas. And so what I want to be able to do as a charter commission is to look at what the country is doing in other places that are successful to make the best decisions, not to say this is how we did it in 1982, so we should continue to do it.
Commissioner Payne.
I was kind of here's a fair way, and here's the way that we've always done it, okay? Life to a lot of people are not fair. And one of the things that opened my mind a little bit more to this is that when you have an application, you have an opportunity to see if this person is really and truly interested in what we are trying to do here for the city and for the people. And that to me satisfies my conscience and wanting the best or someone that's going to work, because I'm going to tell you, I've been in lots of groups, and if you've got 10 people, you only get 2 that's working, or 3. So I would like to have the opportunity to get someone that's truly interested in what we're doing. And if Ms. Taylor is here every day, to me that shows that she's interested, and her enthusiasm about it, brings about. And I just like to say that I think that for the group that's here, doing the polling and all of that, I talked to a lot of I think everyone here almost. But I was really pleased at what I heard, about making sure that the people were involved in the decision making, that we were working for the people and trying to make the city grow. And if you don't have star people doing that, and you just kind of go with, oh, that's my friend, then you could be in trouble.
And that's what can happen if you open up the application process.
So I guess I'll go with Norbert because he's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
No, I do understand both aspects of it. One thing that Commissioner Ibero spoke about was like the time limit. Like we don't want to take a lot of time trying to vet someone out. Another thing is we talk about participation, or if we have someone from the community that's involved. Well, we've been here like 3 meetings. I know we haven't done much, but we got one person here. So if we have constant meetings and no one's showing up, I mean, how will we know how involved they are if nobody's here to show up? I don't have a problem with going with the next person up. Actually, I don't. But I do understand the application process is just who will we pick through that application process? And if we're leaning towards picking someone who's involved or who's showing concern, our seat's empty out here. So, that's just one of the things I'm concerned about.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert.
I think as we move to Commissioner Burrow's point, you have already established a process and a timeline of when a person is, ultimately will join the commission, the board. If you can't make a decision on a person without checking your own implicit bias, then that's on you. I don't sit here and look at individuals. If you show concern, or somebody is here or shows concern about being elected to this board, that's what an application process is. There's applications for jobs. There's applications for a whole lot of other things. An application process gives me the opportunity to look at somebody who says an interview and they speak to the board, as the meetings will be televised or whatever this board decides, and you say, this is a decision that we want to make. If I look at this particular list that I'm looking at right now, I'm just being honest. I'm sorry that let me rephrase that. I'm not sorry. I spent my time in Pontiac. We ran an election. The people voted. People got written in, whatever it may be. But we're talking about the city of Pontiac. I'm not interested in no other place in the planet. I'm not saying that the process of Pontiac has always did it correctly, but as it relates to what's happening in Pontiac, Michigan, as we're turning things around, when you say the next person up, then I think the next person up, if the language is here, I don't see the person, anybody else that's on this list that's in this audience or have been taking part of this process since we've been doing this. So if I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't vote on the next person up. That's not an implicit bias. That's not anything. That's if you were shown here, you would have shown to me that you would be part of the process, but it hasn't. So if we're going to be honest about what we're going to say about from this dais and how we're going to vote and those things and bring those type of things up, let's be honest about the whole situation. And so when I say application process, again, if the people have decided to say Gil Garrett is sitting on the Charter Commission, and Gil Garrett is, I'm hoping that he brings us something, or I can say something to him to help bring something in this charter that I won't change, then they also told me that, hey, he can follow the rules, and I'm trusting him to follow the rules. That's the democracy in which we have in the whole country, not just Pontiac. And so if we're going to be fair about the process and fair about what we're saying for Pontiac, when you look at the names and you look at what the people said, I agree with you, yes. But when I look at the intentions of what's going to happen or why the person wanted to do it, and I don't see you, or I never see you, and then you just said, okay, you're the next person up, so you get in line, then that taints the process of us saying about the application. It taints the process of us saying, okay, at that particular point in time, why did this person do it? So you have to look at the totality of the circumstances in which election was ran. And so if we're going to do that, at that particular point in time, the people voted that way. Let's say something happens in the next year, tomorrow, next week, then we either do a special election and go back to the people, or we do an application process. But to me, I don't think it's fair to say that the next person up, that's what the people voted for.
Thank you. I'm gonna go, and then it'll be Commissioner Williams, and then Payne. I was teeter-tottering, but Commissioner Payne has helped me decide. And I also think it needs to be an application process. I believe if that's what the council has done, if the people want us to change it when we bring it to their attention, when we get to the charter, we can do that. But I mean, the council at any point in time could have said, we're not gonna do an application, we can just go with the next go-getter, the next person, can you please come and apply? Right, I think if this is how we've been doing it, whether it's working or not, whether it's fair or not, we should continue it until we change it in the charter, because now we're doing something different than what any other body has done in the city. And that has also not gone in front of the voters to make that decision as well. Okay, Commissioner Williams and then Payne.
Thank you. The election was the application process for the people. So I just wanted to clarify that. Then secondly, if you're going to compare it to the council only does that within a time limit before the next election. So if somebody got elected and 3 months in, that office was vacant, they would not be able just to hold a seat in totality for the fulfillment of that 3-year term. So if we're not going to put time limits in there that trigger a special election, then I can't go with the process of just appointing somebody, because then the residents don't get to vote until the charter is presented to them.
So,
So do you get what I'm saying? But the fairest way, back to my original point, would be to put the next person up, and they may not even accept the position, but it would then give us clarity in line, and it wouldn't be an arbitrary statement. What I consider involvement may be sitting in every charter commission meeting. Somebody else may see being active on Facebook or emailing all the commissioners on what it is. So if you've got 2 people that are there, and you've got one that sits in the audience and one that can't get out of the home but watches all the meetings and then has it, then we have to decide based on our vote and an interview on what is that. And some people interview well, and then their service is horrible. We've all hired people for jobs, and then they get in the position and are not capable of doing the job. So I'm just saying, when you open up an interview process, regardless of your goodest intentions, everybody that you interview or presents well is not the best candidate for the job. And somebody who can get 5 votes out of this 9 may not be the best person for the job. And so I'll leave it at that.
thank you. We're gonna do Commissioner Payne, and then we're gonna try to figure out what language we're gonna vote on.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I was kind of like this, but now I'm kind of like this, simply because of what Commissioner Garrett said, is because I didn't run to win, okay? I literally ran because I felt that there was a need. I did not know the importance of this until I learned about it. And then when I wasn't trying to win, because I was going to find a way to talk to the commissioners to say we need to involve our residents in making the decision so that we can come up with a document that fits and works with this city. And that was what I was excited about when I started talking with different individuals, and they said, oh, we want to get the city involved, the people of the city involved. So I was really happy to see that, and that's why I said that I think this is a great group, because everyone is on the same page of wanting to get our residents involved in helping with this charter, not to get it passed, but to get a document that works for the city. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, can I just ask the clerk, deputy clerk, one quick question? Why was this language specifically put in there? Is it because we saw it happening in other places? But why was this when the council does not do this?
Madam Chair, that's correct. When I drafted the rules, I looked at the city of Detroit, and it was simply in their
Okay.
rules.
All right.
I think I want to make a comment.
Denny Bernard.
I appreciate the commentary and anecdote around how other cities do it. I would like to, if we are going to follow a process, this was pulled from one city's city charter commission, first of all. Second of all, I am more about how do we find the data in the future, right? So if we're going to talk about best practice, let's look at that best practice. For right now, let's follow the same consistent process that is mostly followed. Now, I think Kermit also has a good point about timeframes, and I think that is an important thing to consider. But I think if we're going to follow a process, let's follow a process that is similar to what all the rest of the city is following. However, let's make sure that this is something that we look at as we are going through process and the change in the charter to make sure that we also know what is best practice. And I think that's, I don't like when we speak in anecdotes about what the world is doing if everyone isn't on the same page as that. So I'd like to lift that up.
Thank you. Ibarra?
I just going back to compromising. After hearing both sides of the field, I guess what if there is some sort of where, when we do this application, we can give priority to those who were in the election, give them first come, first serve interview, or give them, like I said, give them priority from those who did not run in the election but are interested in the charter. Just wanted to give those people who did vote, who did get the votes, an opportunity to work what they tried to get. So maybe just prioritizing the people who were in the election, just to give them the first opportunity to be interviewed.
Thank you. Stuart?
A quick note as well that an application process doesn't have to be completely subjective, and there are ways to at least make that objective in some ways. So, right, if we are, I think Jose has a good point, is that I do grants all the time. I release grants all the time. How we release subjectivity and make it objective is by doing rubrics and making sure, what are we looking for? What is the Charter Commission looking for? And so, yes, I do agree with Kermit on the fairness side of this. However, I also want to note that we ran it on a special election with 2,000 max voters. And this list with 100 voters, while I appreciate 100 votes, was a very minimal piece of the city of 42,000 voters. And so I want to note that as well. Second, yes, I think if we are going to follow this, then let's do a rubric process and make sure that that's spelled out. Because while that takes more time, that also is less subjective.
Thank you. Garrett?
I think Commissioner Scott, I'm sorry, home viewers. I think Commissioner Scott pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. As it relates to, I am in full support of a fair process. I'm just saying that when we start talking about timelines, that when you put an application process in, whether you give priority to individuals who did run into election because maybe that was the decision then, you still got to go to them and ask, are you interested? So that's taking more time, right? So if you just say there's an application process, just put in the application.
Correct.
If there's a rubric around being subjective, to that point of saying, okay, we have individuals who've now put in these applications, we now are looking at, but this is what we're looking at, this is what the people said that they're looking for,
Yes.
this is what the decision is, because when you say running an election and sitting in the seat is totally two different things. I can sell you a car, but once it gets off the lot, the value of it depends on what you're going to use it for. And so for me, we understand that in elections in the city of Pontiac, we can put up any face you want to an election. You get elected where you do the work. And so application process with some structure to it allows me to make a sound decision where I can look and walk to anybody and say, this is why I decided to vote on this particular applicant. That comes with choices.
Yeah.
And that's what I just think that's what we're elected to do when you say you want to be a elected official. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna go with Commissioner Williams, but I just want to say I want us to stop acting like there are some people up here who don't want this to be a fair process. It's like everybody wants
Yeah.
it to be a fair process. I just wanted to note that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Okay, and I took my train of thought. But what I was going to say is this is a process that we are voting on. I hear the majority of the people saying that they want to go to applications, and that's fine. Majority is going to rule on whatever. We're going to have a lot of decisions up here that I'm going to personally disagree with, that the group may agree with, and we'll go along with those. But what I would like to do is to table this until that application with that rubric actually comes before us so we can all vote on what that is versus taking out a clear process in this situation and replacing it with something ambiguous called an application.
Thank you. Payne and then Burrows. Does your hand up? Okay. Thank you. Payne and then Burrows.
You can let him go.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just going to try to end this by saying I have truly enjoyed this debate. I mean, this is what you call discussion and compromising and understanding. And I think that we have done a great job at that. So I applaud you all for your respect for everyone. And I just think it's just awesome. And I guess on the last note is that time, you know, we were saying that we don't want to waste time, but that's what we're here for. It's not the time, it's to get it where it works for the city and for our residents.
Thank you. Burrows?
Real quick, if we want to get the citizens involved, the only way they can get involved is their vote. That's the only way the city can really get involved is their vote. As far as the application process, if we go that route, is it where if we somehow pick an applicant, we all would vote on that applicant if I'm not
Yes.
wrong, right? So once we vote on that applicant, do we then share the applicant with the city, with the citizens, and have them vote, or how does that work? Or do we already appoint that person without the city having a say?
So what would happen is if we did an application process, people would fill out the application, they would come to the Charter Commission and do an interview, right? And then we could vote, postpone it until we interviewed everybody, and then we could allow for public comment for people to come up like they did District 2, I think it was twice.
Yeah.
People came in and they told us what they wanted, who they wanted. Now, once again, either of those times, whether the council actually voted for the people that the community was asking for, but we can choose to do that, and people can actually speak to that.
Yes.
I like that.
Clerk?
So just to kind of move this issue along, so I can propose some language for
Can I add some things for you right quick? So if it's close to an election, we want to have a special election. But what is close to an election? Like how long? If there's an application and interview process, there needs to be a rubrics. And what would be the time frame for that process? So would it be 4 weeks from when we identify that we need to get another commissioner until the process is, until somebody is picked? I just wanted to add that because that's what I heard up there as well.
Madam Chair, on the issue of a special election, I believe only the city council can call for a special.
No, I'm saying if there was a special election happening, if we're close to any election, then we can say people can vote for this position. But that's what I heard, right? If we're close to an election, allow people to vote. But what does close mean? What is a number? Is it 3 months? Is it 2 months?
I'm not so certain, and I guess probably legal counsel would need to have that. In essence, you could actually do that. Put an individual person on the ballot for the Charter Commission. I'm not certain that in essence you
No, I think what she's
can do that.
I'm sorry. I think what she's saying is not necessarily put a person on the ballot, but can that seat be vacant until election? Like if, like say for instance, terms are up. Like if we do 3 years, right? And we're not doing terms here.
Right. That's what
The charter is over with. But if we have to do if somebody is to be the 3 years or we 6 months into before the 3 years is up, before we're even all done, do you just hold it? Is it legal to hold it vacant, or do we or can we petition the city council to say we need this position filled for a special election? Like how does that? Not necessarily you saying a person or a name, is just the position.
The position.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think necessarily that can in essence be done, that an individual seat on the Charter Commission can be put on the ballot.
Okay.
The Charter Commission, I believe, had to be voted on in essence as a whole.
Okay.
And it's only, and again, you have a short time frame. There is no election scheduled for next year anyway. Is our non-election year.
Yeah.
And I think since the voters voted for the charter commission in 2021, that actually you have to complete your work by 2024.
Right.
So I don't think that may be possible. But if you decide to go with an application, you don't have to determine that application process today. You can later determine that application process. So just in the event of the removal, resignation, or death of a commissioner, semicolon, by a majority vote of the commission shall fill a vacancy in its membership by appointing a new member to the commission through an application process.
Okay, Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, I would change that since that's the route that I guess the majority is going to supermajority of the commission, meaning a 2/3 vote
Oh, okay.
instead of just a simple 5-4 vote.
Yeah.
Or
that-
appointment.
that-
A super majority.
Any thoughts about that?
That's good.
Good? Garrett?
Okay. My thought process, if a person, if we're voting on a person to fill the vacancy, then hopefully it's just one person at that particular time. I do like this, the majority of the vote, or 2/3 vote in that
Yeah.
particular instance, because it may be one, maybe two, but I do like that because it's going to be at least 8 people voting, so you need more than that. But also to that language, like you said, in the event the removal or resignation of death of a commissioner upon a majority vote of the commission shall fill. Like, do you still think that that we need to? Well, no, I guess that put that language in there, like you said, the 2/3. So
Yeah, the supermajority.
the supermajority. Okay.
All right, so we will add the supermajority. So your recommendation is that we can say the application and interview process and not have that process together.
Right.
Commissioner Williams wants to have that in place before he votes on this, correct? So we can vote on this, what is currently there, and if it's voted down, then we can revisit it the next time?
I would also, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I also think that that's something that can be established through a committee
Okay.
that then gets voted on. That's what I would suggest, is maybe we establish a committee for a brief period of time, ad hoc committee that puts together the application process, the rubric, and then that itself gets voted on by the commission,
Okay.
rather than holding up the whole rules document, which I don't think would be very good for that specific task.
All right. Garrett and then Williams, and then we're really gonna vote on this, because y'all not gonna keep doing this.
Okay.
Now, we
no,
gotta
no.
vote on the whole document. This is just
Well,
one.
we,
So
one
we-
piece.
right.
you need to
So-
get this
so-
piece.
So this is
Hold
what-
on, because this speaks to the piece, and so I have the floor right now. The attendance here says each commissioner is required to attend or be on time for all full commission meetings.
Wait,
unless
what does that have to do with the replacement?
it has to speak to the vacancy. What I'm saying to you is, we need to have something in place that says if a commissioner misses 5 consecutive meetings or whatever, then that position becomes vacant, and then it speaks to all of the things above. Right now, the office is only vacant at the end of their term or by resignation. So we have to come up with an
Or
agreement.
removal?
What I'm saying is, we don't have anything in here that speaks to
To
removal. Removal can be for state reasons or whatever, something different. What I'm saying is, as a charter commission, if, to Ms. Payne's point, if somebody's not doing the work for 6 months, we need to have an ability to replace that seat if they've consecutively missed all of these meetings.
No, I get that point.
What I'm saying is-
just trying to go piece by piece,
No.
because I also have something with attendance, but I want to make sure that if we're
Thank you.
taking out the vote part, like, we take that out and then move on to the next piece.
What I'm saying to you is, the removal of vacancy, replacement it needs to be also some language in there triggered by what removes them in order for that to happen. You get what I'm saying? Let's say we're doing an application. We need, right now it says, in the event of removal, resignation, or death of the commissioner. We don't have anything that speaks to being able to remove them as a commission or vote on that. So we need to put that in that section. If Commissioner Stewart is vacant for a year, we need to be able to call for a vote and then be able to replace Commissioner Stewart. That needs to be in that same body of language, in this same paragraph. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I disagree. I think the replacement is different than the attendance. If you don't, because I have how many days can a commissioner miss? Like, if that is the thing, that is a prompt for the replacement, right? But I want us to get the replacement. Like, are we sticking with the vote, or are we going with the application process? Are we good with, in the event of a removal, comma, resignation or death of a commissioner, semicolon, by a supermajority vote of the commissioner, comma, the commission shall fill its vacancy and its membership by, we won't be by interviewing, by an application process, pretty much is what it would be. So it wouldn't be by appointing. I want to get that together before we move on to the attendance, because I agree, the attendance is a indicator for the replacement. Also, the vacant office, right?
Yes.
Because people can remove that. Like, that's also an indicator. Because it says legal disqualification, we should name it. Like, if they don't maintain residency, or if like that. So I just want to make sure we get the replacement done before we move on to other things. Because I agree that that needs to be in there, but I want to make sure that we get this language together before we move on. Commissioner Payne.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing. Can we just stay on the replacement? And one question that I have for the clerk is, Mr. Clerk, is I didn't know that we could remove someone. I thought there had to be a petition if it was voted in, or is that just for,
Legal disqualification.
Removal could be triggered by, for example, the state law precludes anybody from serving on this commission that's a city employee, member of any other board or commission. So say, for example, the mayor offers somebody employment. Then therefore, in a sense, they could be removed if they don't, in essence, resign, because they would no longer be
right,
qualified to
because
serve.
those were the qualifications
Right,
for running.
yes.
And it also was qualifications for them to be, well, I'll leave that alone.
Okay, so I just, can we get back to the replacement? Can we finish that?
Oh,
Because
exactly.
what we stopped is semicolon, by a supermajority of the commission shall fill a vacancy in its membership by what?
I had to,
Go ahead.
thank you, Chair. So, yielding to the previous commissioner, we should add application process, period. And then I believe that we move to a committee and to discuss what that application process would be. And then the committee decides on what that to be, and then bring it back to this dais, this board, to vote on that process. Or be sent back to tweak it if need be.
I can live with that.
Is that a motion? Can he
Yes,
make
I put a motion on the floor that the replacement language reads, in the event of the removal of resignation or death of a commissioner, upon the supermajority vote of the commission shall fill a vacancy in its membership by application process.
Okay, thank you.
That's a motion.
Second
All right, it has been moved in second.
discussion.
Well, we've been discussing, but if you wanted to have
Well,
a
I was-
closing comment before
A
we.
closing comment, in the event of the removal by resignation, BY, can we add that in there or no?
In the event of the removal,
By resignation
okay, by resignation or death?
or death, right?
Okay. So in the
Well,
event of, well, we.
What I don't yield, yeah, I don't,
By resignation,
right, my motion
Yes.
was to say,
As is.
as is, in the event of removal,
Resignation.
resignation, or death
Oh,
of a
yeah.
Oh,
commissioner
okay, the comma separate.
upon
Okay.
supermajority. The comma takes care of the,
Yeah.
It takes care of
Right,
the
that.
okay, good, thank you.
Thank
Us-
you. Okay, and then Commissioner Williams wanted to move to attendance, and the question is, how many days can a commissioner miss, correct?
Well, we have a motion on the
Oh,
floor.
I
that
thought
needs
we had
be
to
voted.
vote on all of it together. No, we can
No,
vote
we
on.
just voted, I just called for that motion for that link.
Right.
That
You vote.
piece.
Okay, oh, so we vote.
Yes.
Excuse me though.
Mm-hmm.
Because Commissioner Williams motioned to table this item.
Okay. So
So
there was
we
a
need to
motion.
take care of that.
Okay.
But it wasn't supported.
It was not.
No.
So are you withdrawing your motion?
Okay, I'll withdraw.
Okay. Okay, now, let's go to Commissioner Garrett's motion. Ready for the vote? Ibarra?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes,
Ramsey?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Turpin?
Yes.
Williams?
No.
Seven.
All right, we're gonna move on to attendance.
Madam
Garrett and Payne.
I put a motion on the floor to establish a committee for the application process.
Oh, wait, can we wait? Because we actually have committees to establish.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Go ahead. I withdraw my motion, sorry.
Okay,
Thank you.
Payne.
Madam Chair, would it be possible for us to start at the beginning of the document and then go down
Yes,
and kind of do it by paragraph instead of moving around?
yes, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll start at organization. Is everybody good with that? There's just one minor Detroit in there, but we can, yes. Third sentence at the end. Thank you. Any other, comments around organization?
Okay, I have a question in regards, is this document, and should it be, and this is, I guess, to Mr. our clerk again. Is this rules and procedures, or should this be bylaws?
Um,
And the reason I asked that question is because I've been reading a lot of the state, the Michigan legislative, and how they do things as far as the chart is concerned. And they did mention bylaws in there.
Okay.
And then back over here, somewhere, we mentioned bylaws in there, but then the document is not, we don't have any bylaws. So that would be my question about what page was that on? It mentioned bylaws and
I think it was 3.
Page 4.
circled it.
Page 4, top of page 4.
Okay,
Yeah, 4.
and so, yeah, that's what I have. It's circled it and said,
okay.
We started here.
if I had a preference, I would prefer bylaws, but
Okay. So
Legally, it doesn't have to be bylaws. Right?
I think though, Commissioner was
Payne,
through research with the state, in the city, they had, in essence, bylaws. It can be changed to bylaws.
Madam Chair,
They serve pretty much the same purpose.
Yes. Commissioner Turpin?
by definition and meaning, Merriam-Webster, the meaning of bylaw is a rule adopted by an organization chiefly for the government of its members and the regulation of its affairs. So I think the two are synonymous.
Okay, thank you. So are we okay with changing it to the 2020 Charter Revision Commission bylaws?
I'm not, in agreement with that just because, we're following, for the most part, what the current charter has. We just went through an hour of making sure we're staying consistent. And so they have rules and procedures. We should stick to rules and procedures so that language will be consistent across boards and commissions and the Charter Commission, in my opinion.
You can make a motion to put bylaws, and then we
Okay,
can vote on it.
I'd like to make a motion that we, change this to the, 2022 Commissioner Revision Commission bylaws. And then as we get to procedures and rules, that we state procedures and rules.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Oh, Garrett.
Okay, so when you, and I just for clarity, these are the rules and procedures for the revision, this commission.
Yes.
So are you saying we establish bylaws and rules and procedures?
No. Let's see, bylaws are going to be the governor, okay?
Right.
And you have to have a process how it tells you how to do it. Then you would label the, well, you could label it rules under there or procedure, but bylaws is a document, and under there, it tells you how to do it. And so that would come, at that point, it's explaining it as procedures and guidelines. It's a governing document.
Okay, but, and this was just for discussion, so in reading these rules and procedures, it tells us what to do. It already tells us what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess my question would be, as I was reading through it, and I saw some language in there as it relates to Detroit, et cetera, are we, this draft, just being draft language, and I'm in agreement with going by it line by line, not line by line, but part by part. Can you be more specific, or as it relates to what was Detroit being done, or what was the intent of why it was in the draft? Because when you read it, and I understand what Ms. Payne is saying, when you go to page 5 and when you start talking about bylaws, i.e., I'm just gonna tell you, just talk about what I know. So you do have bylaws, as far as the school district concerned, but then you have procedures on how you execute those bylaws.
There you go.
This particular document that was in front of us that's drafted has both of them included. And so I think it alludes to a little confusion as it relates to saying bylaws, and then when we get to certain parts in this document, these will be the rules and procedures of that specific bylaw. I think you get it. So if I'm understanding you correctly, then that's gonna cause us to go into two different documents. It's gonna cause us to go into two different documents when all we have to do, and I'm just saying for suggestion like we just did, if there's a part of the rules and procedures, or even if we say this is the bylaws document, once we get to that, let's just say attendance, which would be identified in some regions as a bylaw, but the procedure, when we get into the definition of it, can be motioned on or added to language depending on what is the pleasure of the board. So I'm just trying to get a little bit more understanding, because I'm in support of, if you want to change, you can call it whatever, it's synonymous, to be honest. This particular document, I'm just saying this one. What I don't want to create is two documents that give us two different sets of languages that we have to interpret every time we get ready to make a decision or something comes up under that section.
No,
You understand what I'm saying?
I
So
understand.
just a point of clarification, and then I'm gonna go to Commissioner Killian. Can we, for the record, reflect that Commissioner Killian has arrived?
Yeah.
And then we'll go to Payne. But just for the city of Detroit, they started off with bylaws, and then they, after having a conversation with the city attorney, changed it into rules and policies. So that's why. So Detroit did start off with a bylaw document, and then they moved over to rules and procedures. I think it was just rules. They just moved it over to rules, so they X'd out bylaws altogether. Killian and then Payne.
Yes, I just have a question, and I humbly apologize for being tardy and missing some of the information. But what I'm hearing is, it just seemed like we're splitting something that's okay already. I'm not really grasping the whole thing of changing. Is it we just changing the title? Because I'm like Commissioner Garrett at the time. It seems like now we're going to start another book by saying this is bylaws and this is procedures. When they have been combined together for this length of time, I don't see how legally or, I mean, how would it be a positive?
And that's, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Madam Chair,
East
thank
Side.
you. And that's what I was saying. The name is bylaws because organizations are governed by bylaws. And what happens is that when you get to procedures, process, then what happens is that you go into detail and it just becomes longer and explains, because if I read this, I mean, if anyone reads this, are you really going to know what your job is without breaking it down into steps of what you're really looking for, the outcome of membership or the outcome of a replacement or whatever? It has to be detailed, more detailed in steps.
Okay, thank you. Just,
Okay,
go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe bylaws are for, in essence, separate organizations. The Charter Commission is not a standalone organization.
Oh, okay.
The still somewhat falls under the city. You're not like
A separate nonprofit
Yes,
organization that is
exactly.
wide by yeah.
right.
exactly.
If you were a separate, in essence, entity, then you would need bylaws. Any separate entity needs bylaws to govern the separate, in essence, organization. So that's why it was changed to rules and procedures.
Thank
The where it is referenced by it's just simply a typo and should have been changed to rules and procedure.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Commissioner Payne, would you like to keep your motion on the floor?
I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Oh, go right ahead. I just wanted to, because after that explanation, she seemed like she was changing, so,
No, that's fine. Go ahead. We can move on to the next.
thank you. So we have went over the organizational part. Everybody's good. Members. So it just dictates who is a member.
Oh,
Y'all left me out.
Oh. Commission, yes. Oh, they say you don't show
I guess
up.
I'm not a member
We can.
That's why he wasn't here. I read the packet earlier. He was like, I ain't got to show up.
The car
Commissioner
knew
Payne.
it. The car was like, hey, you ain't even on the list.
the WIT,
Wow.
the WIT, is that a word or is that?
Where's that at? Oh, to wit. Are established by law to wit, pursuant to the vote of the of the
witness.
people. Is that correct?
To wit meaning to witness.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Okay. Thank you.
So then we should spell it out.
No, that's
okay,
it.
let me ask.
That's a real word.
Commissioner Gear.
Okay. Because I truly understand what Commissioner Payne is coming from.
And can I
And-
just say, I just appreciate that we can have these conversations and people can ask questions and
Yeah,
have patience.
and that's
Well-
and, And that's where I want to be able to explain to what she's asking to be done. So the language it's a common legal language that's used just in case a document like this has to go to court. So if you say to witness, it is either two witnesses, and then who are those witnesses, and then you have to put two people. And then two people may be the city of Pontiac or wherever it may be. So when you say to wit basically is a shorter version of the witness. So basically whatever legal article this is written under, this is what we have. To your point of saying this document or this draft shows the procedures as well as what we would have the bylaws all together. Like when you break each one of these down, it tells you exactly where you're supposed to be. We just have to agree on the language as it relates our rules of engagement that we may need to have as a commission as we're moving forward. This is basically keeps us, in the rules of play, how we need to govern ourselves as individuals. So I don't, to answer to your question, I think for me, you use the legal language.
Yeah, because I'm not finding a good definition
Yeah,
for it.
no, it's just, that's just what it is.
And,
Been sued enough,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
well, what I was gonna say is that reason I was saying if it's to witness, then we need to, when you're writing documents or anything, I just think that you should make sure that anyone is able to read and understand it.
I understand. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I also believe that the names of the commissioners are there in order based on votes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, are we good with members?
No, not until I get.
I was gonna say, do we need to vote
We're
on that?
not good.
I make a motion to add Brian Killian to the list of members in the order in which he was voted in.
Support.
It has been moved by Williams, supported by Turpin.
Stewart.
Stewart, we're talking to the mic, sir. Stewart.
Questions? Go ahead.
No, are we voting? I think we're ready.
We're waiting on you to call for the vote.
Oh, call for the vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't write that down.
Killian,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Did I much?
Wait, let's see how many votes did he get.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Garrett.
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you.
Okay.
See how easy that was getting the ninth commission?
How nice. Yeah.
Took a whole hour. All right, next is the vacant office. And I guess my question is, what is legal disqualification?
Okay, that's what I had circled.
Well, see, we
Thank you.
should have been doing some copying and working
Yeah,
together on this.
well,
Um,
I shouldn't have read, I should have just got yours.
I know that I've read that maintaining legal residency is one. Is it okay if we name some of these things out?
We should, and that's why I say, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that's why I say all of this should be detailed, because if something comes up and it's not in here, then it could be a legal matter. Simply, maybe we didn't, we failed to say that if a person, whatever, but I just think we should have more detail in there.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, I think we should refer different sections of this rule book to a committee, so that way we can kind of flush some of these things out. It's at 7:30 now. Just want to and we're on the first page, so we can kind of break these things up in order to actually get through the draft. So when we come back, we've got some clarity on some things to go through.
Is that a motion?
I'm just for discussion. I
Okay.
didn't know if there was a motion. I just want to see how the group feels about it.
Okay, I disagree. I like going over and hearing other people's opinions. Like I said, for the replacement, I wasn't swayed either way until I heard the full commission's conversation. And so I'm okay with if this takes and we have to postpone and do the rest of it the next time, but that we're all on the same page and everybody understands what's happening. Because I believe we have new people like myself, new to office, new to doing this type of thing, and walking through the process would be helpful. Commissioner Payne and then Stewart.
And I was going to say that I would prefer, and I think our residents need to hear, you know, how we're conducting and how we're making decisions. And I just think that being in a team and a group and hearing each other, and we all coming to a decision, and then if it's in a group, then you got to bring it to the rest of us, and then we got to battle with it for an hour, and then so we've just kind of lost track of process.
Thank you. Stewart?
I was just going to go back to vacating office for a moment. Is legal disqualification something that's outlined in state documents for the city clerk? So then I think instead of listing out everything that we don't know, we should refer it back to a state document specifically stating how they can be legally disqualified. I think that is cleaner. I don't know which state document that is, but our city clerk, I'm sure, does.
That was maybe the
Okay,
Michigan
thank you.
legislative-
Mr. Chair, I don't have it with me, but in your very first meeting, I think I included the state language.
Yes.
So we can make a reference to whatever state document that was
That'd be great.
there. Yeah.
Thank you, clerk.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I just don't want us to be parsing out things that we don't necessarily know all the language for, and then
We would just put the number, the
yeah,
Just refer to.
paragraph into it, yeah.
Yep.
I like that. Okay.
I think that's great. Yep, thank you.
Okay, wait, so what is the language around that? So we would just add the definition from the state on what would disqualify an elected
Or-
person in office?
Or you could just say as defined in
Okay.
state, blah 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 blah. You know, whatever that looks like.
Okay.
Obviously, we're not going to have the final answer until the clerk can go through it, but on what that is.
So any disqualification shall be waived if cured by the member pursuant to applicable law. I got Detroit's one, so I'm looking at that. I don't want nobody to think I'm special. So, yeah, so that's what the city of
Pursuant to
Detroit did.
applicable law. Yeah, you could say
Pursuant
that.
to
Yeah,
applicable law.
yeah, sure.
That's it.
Okay, pursuant.
Always like
So
that.
each member shall serve for the entire term of the Charter Commission unless they shall vacate their office by resignation or by legal disqualification, which would be pursuant to state law. Commissioner Williams?
Yeah, I would like to add if they miss 5 consecutive charter commission meetings.
Wouldn't that be in the
Where-
attendance?
No, we have to, that's what would qualify a vacancy. What I'm saying to you is we gotta go down to attendance, but right now, we only have a vacation only for
Legal disqualification.
legal disqualification by law. So that means nothing else vacates them. So they could miss all the meetings until it's time to vote on it, and nothing will be there. We can set up an attendance policy, but that doesn't trigger vacating office. We don't have any rights as charter commissioners to do anything to any individual charter member.
So can we say by resignation, removal, or removal, resignation, attendance, or by legal disqualification?
That's why I was trying to change that in the replacement, and y'all told me we weren't talking about that. But yes, that's where we'll
Because we
put it.
weren't, but we can add it here. That
It's
sounds
all
great.
together, so.
Eric?
Each section of this document is separate for a reason. So if you want to add my suggestion, my suggestion, if you want to add something as far as attendance is concerned, then you do it under attendance. When you start adding language to separate subsections that we're supposed to rule and govern by, then you start adding you have to add other languages in other places. So, in my opinion, if you're saying vacant office, each member shall serve for the entire term of charter commission unless they shall vacate their office by resignation or by legal disqualification applicable to state law, then I'm fine with that. When we get down to attendance, because we went to replacement, when you get down to attendance, each commissioner is required to attend or be on time for a full commission meeting unless the commissioner has sought and received an excused absence from the charter or acting chair. When we speak to attendance, each commissioner, if it's so bit 5 meetings or miss 5 meetings, each commissioner who's required to attend each commissioner is required to attend and be on time for a full commission meeting. If, put the language in there, a commissioner misses 5 consecutive meetings, they then are subject to the vacate office.
Okay,
I
hold on,
got-
let me get Payne
Can I get
first.
back to my original motion? Maybe this will help for some clarity.
I didn't know it was
hear
a
what-
motion. Go ahead.
I hear what Commissioner Garrett is saying, and so what I would ask is if that original language for vacation is there, then putting in the attendance policy, because this speaks to that point, that 5 consecutive absences will serve as that commissioner's resignation. And then
Yes.
it goes with the vacated
Yep.
office language of a resignation.
I think that makes sense.
Oh, Stuart.
Because I agree. I agree with Kermit on this one. There is nothing in this vacating office that allows us to remove that commissioner if they don't follow the attendance policy. There's nothing in there that says that we can remove them. And so I think vacating office, I think still, if we don't include that in there and we don't say that it's a resignation, a forced almost resignation, then there's nothing in there that really says that we can remove that person from office. Because it's
can-
not legal disqualification and it's not their resignation.
Right. Well, we can
That's
add
not illegal.
removal, resignation, or by legal disqualification. And then the removal will then be based on our attendance rule, as would it be with the replacement.
I would then maybe note that we should change attendance itself to then, or we need a removal then procedure, or,
In attendance, yes,
Yes.
I agree with that, because we
think-
don't have that at all.
right, the section itself should be removal.
Yes.
Yeah, then attendance. Yeah.
All right, wait, did I?
Yeah, I did add.
He had a motion on the floor,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so I don't know if it was second or not.
No, I know, I withdraw my motion, because I think the
So it's a
discussion is
discussion.
helping to
Okay.
get to where we are, so I'll remove it.
Just
to
point of
get us
clarity,
to
I'm
where-
sorry.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, far as the vacate, and we're going to legal disqualification, and we're per the state, what is the state law? States.
It states
We're-
that
Mm-hmm.
that a person must live in the voting district, well, in the city for at least a year, must be a U.S. resident, and retain the status throughout their tenure. In addition, any person seeking office from a non-at-large district must be a resident. Oh, no, so it is, they
Okay.
have to be
All right.
the
That's-
same
and
reason
that's what
why
my-
you can vote and hold office anyway.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that, because if we was going by the state and it already had it in there, we was
Right.
mute issue. But however, I see where it could be needed. Yes.
So is the pleasure of the commission to say each member shall serve for the entire term of the charter commission unless they shall vacate their office by removal, resignation, or by legal disqualification applicable by state law?
And then, oh, yes.
I'll motion.
Okay, I have a motion
Support.
and a support. Call for the vote. The motion is to change, who did it? Okay. So we are on vacate office. It will read, each member shall serve for the entire term of the charter commission, comma, unless they shall vacate their office by removal, comma, resignation, or by legal disqualification applicable by state law. Period. It was moved by Stewart and supported by Williams.
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
9-0.
All right. Can you tell me who motioned for members and who approved it? I know it was Williams. Who motioned? Does anybody
We didn't do a, they left
We
the
did
language.
because we added Brian.
Yeah, we had a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah. We did.
Williams.
Williams motioned to add Brian and,
We can go back to our secretary.
well, yeah.
And Stewart seconded it.
Was
I
it
believe.
Stewart?
You told him to
Seconded.
speak up, yep.
Oh, yeah. because I
That's
thought it
right.
was
That's
Turpin.
right.
Yeah.
Come on, Stuart, we should have told him to wake up.
All right.
Hard to remember these days.
So we are at attendance. Attendance.
Yeah.
All right, so the current language reads, each commissioner is required to attend and be on time for full commission meetings, unless the commissioner has sought and received an excused absence from the chair or acting chair. Williams?
Yeah, I would ask that language be amended to say each commissioner is required to attend majority of commission meetings.
No number?
What? No, because we have a 5. If you miss 5, then you're out type thing. But what I'm saying to you is we
Where's
already
that at?
Where is that?
we just put that in with the vacation of office. Well, we're going to
No.
get to that. But what I'm saying
Yeah.
to you is in
I thought that had to go in attendance, right?
two separate things. The regular attendance that we have, each commissioner is required to attend a majority of council meetings. And then the language at the bottom of that should say, after acting chair, should say, if a commissioner misses 5 consecutive charter commission meetings, it triggers a vote of vacation by the charter commission, because we want to be able to remove somebody who's no longer acting as a charter commissioner, but also we do need to have some sensitivity for somebody who may have a medical issue or something that it can't come to the physical space. So if it triggers it, then the commission can vote to do it or not to do it based on the circumstance versus just automatically vacating the office, if that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, so your language is if a commissioner misses 5 meetings consecutive, it's 5 consecutive, it triggers a vote of vacation by the commission at large. Okay,
Does it need a majority or a supermajority? Do you
right. And also, is it, we say consecutive, but if you miss every other month,
Well, that's on the pleasure of their attendance, and they have to deal with the community. What I'm saying to you is, people things change, and if the people are upset, I mean, we're all here volunteering. This is not a paid commission, so I think we have the heart in the right place. So the hope is we'll have people that show up.
How about you? And
at
I'm
a
getting
good time.
paid.
You said what?
I don't know about you, and I'm getting paid.
Oh, okay. I don't know who paying it, but it ain't me. So, but the only reason I say 5 consecutive is because we meet once a month.
Yes.
And so if you miss 5 months, that should trigger something. Go ahead, Mr.
Can I maybe add one caveat to that? Is that when we start adding in additional meetings, I think that's comfortable when we have planned, scheduled meetings, like the 4th Thursday of every month. But when you start to add in, and I think, Dr. Turpin over here also noted that, is like, I already am telling you it will be hard for me to attend some of these meetings. So I think just delineating and noting that is harder for some folks to come to. And I think about that as just like a caveat as we go through that, to make sure that we note it. So I say that because let's say we do a community engagement session and y'all plan it at times that I am not free, and it happens to be 5 formal meetings.
excuse me, no, hold on one second.
That would be a challenging ordeal, right?
Would it be if a commissioner missed 5 consecutive scheduled
Yes.
meetings? So that would take care of these meetings?
Yep.
Okay.
I was going to say formal meeting.
Formal meetings. Thank you. Yep.
That's what I was trying to add to the point.
That's not to say I don't want to go. I just, schedule.
All of them are formal.
I'm formal, regular, we can put formal, I mean, it is just, it's these meetings. It's separating, because I understand that point, it's separating
think I like
these meetings from the community outreach meetings that we talked about having.
Well, schedule actually names it. But- but we won't argue over
we can say schedule formal, I mean,
Right,
it is,
right,
we know that we're talking about these meetings.
Right.
Garrett and then Williams and then Burrows.
Oh, I didn't finish that.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, that regardless of what's going on, if a person is excused by the chair,
That's true.
then, this is, maybe we're kind of going into some things that isn't really that hard to decide on, because you have to be excused by the chair, and if I'm going to be late, or if I'm going to not come to a meeting, I'm going to call the chair and ask
That is
for
true.
to be excused.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I guess this, I would like some help with this, because I don't want to decide, let's say Scott is my friend, people know Scott is my friend, Scott missed 5 meetings, and I'm
didn't
like,
know
oh,
that.
he good, then so then it becomes a problem. I want to say, like, these are excusable reasons. I don't want it to be up to me, because then, as to Kermit's point earlier, I can play favorites, or I can just say, I don't like you, I didn't want you here in the first place, and I'm not going to excuse it. Not that I would do that in real life, but I just want to put that out there. Like, I think it needs to be what we decide is excusable or not.
Well, I don't think that we should decide what's excusable, because then you get into personal or things of individuals. So I think it should be excused by the chair. And I'm gonna trust the chair enough to make that decision.
Okay, well, I'm good with that. Williams, and then, was it Garrett? Garrett.
was-
Okay, I'm sorry. So Garrett, Williams, Burrows.
Okay, so, to make that expressive, so can we understand that we are elected?
Yes.
And can we understand that we went through the process of saying who's the president, or who's the chair, who's the vice chair? That means our vote was to trust in that chair and trust in that vice chair. That's what we have to go with. That's what the majority said. So with that being understood, if I would like to use the word formal, because it's just, we voted on those formal meetings, we just did that.
Yep.
Steady saying schedule, because if we schedule a meeting, that means those meetings that we're talking about in public are scheduled meetings. And we've already had commissioners state that they may or may not. I know we're all gonna miss meetings here and there, but if we was to contact the chair and say, hey, I won't be able to be at this meeting, okay, at least that is effort of saying that, hey, I won't be able to be at this meeting. If you have to, and then that's the excuse, that's
Yes.
it. Because again, if we have to go back to, hopefully we never have to go back through the online version of what this is, but if you have to go back to online and I ain't paying for Comcast for that month, or 2 or 3, then technically I'm in violation.
Right.
So, I think, again, if we can just keep the power that be inside of what we've already voted, then I'm fine with that. With the language, speaking to the language now of attendance, I am in agreement with saying 5 consecutive meetings, because.
Formal meetings.
Formal meetings, because, again, there has been practices where, not saying that this will happen here, but there has been practices where people have missed meetings, and then the board itself is locked into certain decisions, or not being able to make decisions. That person knows it because of what the rules are, and then you have to wait and go through some legal processes, and I've experienced that twice during my electoral process, and I don't want to do that again, so.
Thank you.
So-
Williams?
I just made a motion, so my motion, was, as it reads, each commissioner is required to attend a majority of the meetings and be on time for let me change that to most commission meetings, unless the commissioner has sought and received an excused absence for the chair or acting chair. The absence at 5 consecutive formal meetings will trigger a vote of vacation of office.
Okay, I don't have that verbatim, but I think I have close. Boroughs.
Oh, I'm sorry. He has a motion on the floor. So
Oh, second?
somebody needs to,
Yep, somebody's got a second.
somebody
Second.
second it.
Second by Stewart.
Yep. And then now we're into discussion. Sorry.
All right.
For point of
discussion.
clarity,
So
sorry.
Boroughs, thank you. I'm learning.
So now, yeah, that's it.
Boroughs and then Killian.
You're doing good.
Thank you.
You good?
All right, Killian.
Burrows is good.
Okay.
I would just,
I have a comment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because I'm just not a timely person. But I mean, if people 15 minutes late, they in trouble. I don't understand. Like they say on time. Like no serious. 'Cause
I know,
we
I
said on
agree, I
time.
agree.
So if you're not on
Yeah.
time, is there a penalty?
Yeah.
Williams.
Yeah, in my motion, we haven't spoke of a penalty. I think the reason that language is probably in there is for people to try to be on time, and that's why I changed the language to majority and then most. Because right now, the language currently reads all full commission meetings. So if the meeting lasts till 12 o'clock and the chair says she doesn't want to be here after 10, but she doesn't have a supporting vote, that would basically put her in violation of the attendance policy as it currently states. So that's why I wanted to change it to majority of meetings.
Can you say your thing again, please?
Your motion again.
Yes.
Each
Thank
each commissioner is required to attend a majority and be on time for most commission meetings, unless
Be on time for most. Okay.
unless the commissioner has sought and received an excused absence from the chair or acting chair. That, and I didn't.
You
write
said
this
5
later.
consecutive.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what language I put in before the 5. But the absence at 5 consecutive commission meetings triggers a vote of vacation from office. Formal meetings, yes.
Formal meeting.
Yes.
So would I be petty? Cause I just don't like the be on time thing. I think that's very arbitrary. I think people are coming from work, and I think we're all adults. So it's like you can't tell me to like I know I need to be on time. I was on time today, but some people work.
I agree.
Okay, I will amend it to say, because I didn't put this in there. So I amend my motion to strike be on time.
Thank
So-
you.
I like that.
Thank you.
What?
People are coming from work. I'm like, we're telling people, we know we need to be on time. People know that they should be on time. But if we're gonna tell people if they're not on time most of the time, then there needs to be a consequence for people not being on time.
Yeah.
Because there will be a consequence if people miss 5 consecutive formal meetings.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like we grown. Pain.
Oh, I was just gonna agree, and then I was gonna also say in regards to the, time, that, if that becomes a problem, that's why we have a chairperson to bring that person to the side and discuss that.
That's, if I have the floor.
Garrett got
And I guess that's to what I'm saying. So we have a chair, we have a vice chair. If the vice chair if the vice chair or the chair or anyone cannot get here on time, and you go to the chair or whoever's the acting chair at that time and says, this is a conflict, I'm rushing through traffic, I'm doing this, then that's already, the chair understands that.
Right.
So I don't want to remove the language of being on time, because it just says majority, for the new language said, to attend majority and be on time for most commission meetings is open-ended unless the commission has sought and received excused absence.
So my question
Yeah.
is, if I don't get, if Brian does not call or text me and say I'm gonna be late, and he's late for 4 months in a row, then what is the consequence?
Well, it's not a consequence because we haven't had the totality of most of the meetings. We don't know how many meetings we're gonna have.
But I'm saying if we had 6 months worth of meetings and he was late for 5 months of the meetings,
Right.
and we're saying, so he has missed the most mark.
Well, he has It doesn't, there's no most in here that says 6 months. It's open-ended. The language is open-ended. It says most of the commission meetings. We may have in a month, 1 month, we may have 20 meetings. The next month, we may only have 5.
But we would only have had one formal meeting.
Okay, but we would have had only one formal, right? So if you saying, if we're saying, that's why I say it's just saying, it's open-ended. It's
I'm
not a,
happy. We can
yeah.
keep it in there. I just don't like it.
yeah.
Commissioner Payne.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, again, being on time, we all know that we're supposed to be on time, and to me, it's kinda like nitpicking, and we need to say more for the consequences. Where are what if you're not on time, and we've had all of these meetings, and none of them you were on time, then what happens from there? Is what my question is.
There's no answer. We just gonna vote. Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I hear both points very clearly. The issue with the time issue for me is not that we want people to be on time. The problem is if they leave early, there's no consequence for that. So I can come and open a meeting and then take roll call and then leave for the majority of the meeting. And that's worse, in my opinion, than somebody who comes at 6:15 and stays the course of the meeting. So if we're gonna deal with time, we gotta deal with all of the time or none of the time. We can't deal with parsing it out. So I just wanna deal with the attendance in general. Either you're showing up or you're not showing up. Either you went and ran for charter just to get your name out there, or you actually did something to do something. So the people are gonna know, is what I'm saying. I think we just need to kinda hope that everybody uses their best angels.
So do you stick with your amendment that you made with your motion?
Yes, which is to take the time out. So,
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. So if Commissioner Wood could repeat the motion again, because
yeah,
I don't think we
Mr. Doyle,
clearly
you owe
got
me
it.
a lunch. Each commissioner is required to attend a majority of a majority of most of commission meetings, unless the commission has sought and received an excused absence from the chair or acting chair. Absence at 5 consecutive formal meetings triggers a vote of vacation from the commission.
So that's the motion on the floor.
You say formal meeting, right?
Yes, I said formal meeting.
Formal
And
meeting.
that's the motion on the floor.
5 consecutive formal meetings. We have a comment and then we'll go to vote.
Y'all gonna stop picking on me, cause I came late. That's all I'm
Oh
gonna say.
my God.
Cause it seems like y'all picking on me.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Burrows.
happen when you come late.
All right, call for the vote, please.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Payne.
I gotta make
Wait,
sure.
who was the second? It was Stewart.
Yes.
Stewart seconded.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Payne.
Yes.
Okay. 9-0.
Sorry, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I need another sheet.
So many of them.
All right, officers. Williams.
Yes, I would just like to add a clause under officers and duties. It says that each officer should term the commission unless removed from office in accordance with the vacant office section of the rules. And I would also put something, and I don't know what that term would be, that would be detrimental to the conduct of the commission. So we've had some people get in position and then go on tirades and call people racist slants and other things. And I just don't want that to be a reflection of leadership in general. So I don't know what that is, and maybe we do that at a later time, but to figure out what that is. But it should be something to say, you know, that there can be a vote to remove leadership in general for misconduct. And like I said, I don't know what that is, and maybe that's something that they talk about at the commissions. I just want to make sure when we're passing the rules, we kind of have some kind of policy or decorum or something. Because we have one in here for the audience, but I don't think it's anything in here that I looked at that actually spoke to the how a commissioner has to conduct themselves in general.
Payne and then Garrett.
Oh, I was just gonna go with the first line, the commissioners shall elect a chairperson, spelling that out, and instead of vice, co-chair.
His position is vice chair.
Well, I was just trying to go to with the Michigan line of thing, and also the CDC. There's not a president or a vice president. They're called co-chairs and chairs.
Right, that's what this is, vice chair and vice.
Chair
No,
and
not
vice chair.
vice, co.
Yeah.
On the second page, it does say chairperson, so I can see
Pardon?
what she's just,
The consistency would
Yeah.
be, the positions that we voted on was chair and vice chair.
Okay, then we need to put it in the rest of the document somewhere over here then. I
Okay.
guess we'll do that when we get to it. But spelling out chairperson,
Okay.
and then later on, we can use chair.
Garrett,
Okay, I sit in several organizations in Pontiac, so they use it. I don't have either way, you know, I don't have a dog in the fight. Like, I know who the chair is, I know who the vice chair is. When we voted, legally
Yeah,
voted on
that's-
that, on this
yeah,
particular
that's
is, but
what-
I do agree with you as if we voted chair, vice chair, so it should be chair, vice chair throughout the document.
yes.
As it relates to be consistent. When you say, that's just my, on that part. But I was trying to get to Commissioner Williams, trying to get a little bit more understanding, because if we go by Robert Rules of Order and a motion can be called to the floor, if there's activities by a commissioner, that's, let's just see, I mean, we've had conversations, or you know that this person is just being ruly. I gotta use plain language, I'm sorry. If somebody's just being unruly and just ignorant, you just call for a motion on the floor. I put a motion on the floor to remove the chair. If it passes, then you then go into the argument or debate on who then sits in that particular chair. Nobody has a right to remove an elected official, but to your point, if somebody is acting in a certain manner, then there's what we call, some people call them, some boards call them rules of engagement. Some people say, this is how our decorum would be as a board. This is how we would treat each other. You know, if we want to spell those particular things out at a later time, then fine. That's how, I mean, we should do that. But to your point, I think that if somebody is, if the motion is on the floor to, let's just say, that they not be recognized. If I put a motion on the floor that this individual not be recognized for whatever their reason was in a meeting, and then it passes, then it clearly understands that that person cannot be recognized. If that person decides to be unruly in Robert Rules of Order, you can have that person removed. You can't get them removed from that meeting. There are steps we may not want to do some of the things that we say that we need to do in Robert Rules of Order, but if need be, you know, if that person is deciding to say, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want to anyway, okay. If there is if there is a officer present, a law officer present, then the chair can have that person removed for misconduct in that particular meeting. Not that they're charged with disorderly conduct. That depends on the officer's understanding of if the person is now beginning to disrupt the public peace. So, again, to your point, Robert Rules of Order protects us, I think, but I do think there is some language around how we will govern ourselves, and that can go to committee, or those rules are established amongst this particular elected body. Because again, if somebody decided, even myself, to get out of pocket there has to be a space where this board can say, motion on the floor, I understand the rules. I knew it, I signed them, we voted on them. But if I get out of pocket 6 months from now, 7 months from now, the legal stance, or according to Robert rules, we've established how we will govern ourselves, because we voted on it. If I break them, I know I broke them, so.
Thank you. Burrows?
I just said if he get out of hand, there's 8 of us here, so.
Please, 7. Sir.
No, but I do agree. I understand what he's saying.
Okay. Yes, Killian?
Yes, per that, Commissioner Garrett, with Robert rules, would we need a sergeant of arms at that aspect? If we're gonna declare that, because that's usually how it's stated, the sergeant at arms is in control of that. Or are we gonna defer that to our vice chair and chair?
Well, if according to Robert Rules of Order, the chair can decide to have the person removed. And if the person, under this format of having a chair and a vice chair, or a co-person, or chair how you
Well,
established,
they said.
if she says, I need this person removed, then you call for the person to be removed. And that person is could be a sergeant at arms, or you call the police.
Okay.
Hence, in our particular situation,
I'm calling the police.
if this is the police, you might want to call the police. If it's somebody else and I'm sitting here, then of course I'm going to remove. We're on duty all the time, so there's no such thing as off duty legally. Then I'm going to remove somebody from the particular meeting. If at the time of moving that person from the particular meeting, if I feel under a reasonable cause, which is the law, that this person now is disrupting the peace of the meeting, meaning they loud, cussing, and profanity, whatever is going on, then they may be arrested for disorderly conduct, and then also not only removed from the meeting, now you have some other legal terms that you need to deal with after the fact.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I need to say something.
Please do, sir.
This doomsday scenario that we keep painting on the proceedings of this illustrious committee is just driving me up a wall. I mean, what the heck? And we got people that need to be removed, we got to call the police. We're sitting here talking about, putting together a document for the city of Pontiac. And to think that we're gonna be up here having all kinds of arguments and confrontations and all this stuff, the fact that it's even on your mind makes no sense to me. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that comment. I would also like to rebut by saying sometimes you create rules hoping you never have to use them, because if you have to create them in real time, people can say that there's bias.
If something happens, we'll deal with it when it happens.
Well, I just want to know how to deal with it as the chair.
We'll figure
'Cause
that
if I
out,
got
too.
to call the police on Gil, I got to call the police on Gil.
We got Gil down there, shoot, he's a police.
I'm calling the police on him, sir. I mean, not technically, because I got to call out that police for you.
What if the country goes to war? What are we gonna do when that happens? I mean, you
No
can't
damn
bring
charter
up
commission.
every doggone thing that can happen
We have to create the
and
rules.
create rules for it. We'll be creating rules for the rest of the doggone 3 years.
Well,
So what? We got a lot of work to do.
No,
To trustee-
don't make me bang this
So
gavel.
You may have
to Commissioner Turpin's point through the chair, because we don't know, I think it is a valid point. However, I've been in situations and scenarios where I have hoped not to use certain situations or powers and things that be, and I don't think that
There
we're.
can also be times when there's an abuse of power.
One person,
I don't
sir.
think I'm creating
An abuse of power.
Sir,
I don't think I'm
sir.
creating.
Yeah, I got some
Thank
other
you.
things on my mind.
Okay, I don't think that we're creating a position of doomsday, but when you have individuals, or there could be individuals that have certain attitudes or dispositions, you need rules in place to be able to do what you need to do to bring the peace among your organization. So, to to Commissioner Kerman's point of saying that there has to be something, an order, or something established that already is written, because when you get into legal documentations, the woulda, coulda, shoulda does not matter in legal court. It is what you have governed yourself to be. And so if the board deems, or whoever needs to be, or whoever this has to apply to, or maybe we don't have it apply, I'd rather to have it in there than to wait and decide for a court or legal and lawyers and attorneys to get involved, because that's what happens in an electoral commission meeting such as this, if you do not have that already established.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams?
Oh, I think, we've done a good job today. And I would ask that, we move to adjourn.
Well, you have a motion on the floor, didn't you? You got a motion.
I had a motion on the floor, but after the discussion, I don't know what that motion is anymore. So,
So the motion is to add some type of thing to be able to remove leadership for misconduct, or at least spell it out if it needs to be. I would at least like to finish the officers portion before we abruptly end. So if we could, so the motion on the floor is to have a piece that talks about the removal of leadership for misconduct. What Commissioner Garrett said was that Robert Rules of Orders allow for anyone on the commission to, what'd you say?
Anyone on the commission to be either silenced or a motion to be.
To make a motion.
To make a motion.
Yes, so anybody on, any of the commissioners could make a motion to remove a leadership person for misconduct, or anyone for misconduct, or, I can't remember what it's called,
Censored, sanctioned,
censored.
whatever you want to
Thank
put it.
you, or censored, because we cannot remove
Correct.
elected officials.
Correct.
So that was the motion, and then that was what Garrett said. So do we want to continue with that? Do we want to remove that?
A second.
Okay, so it's been second. So the removal of leadership for misconduct, you're seconding, because that's what Kermit is
Oh.
asking for.
Removal? Oh, we can't remove anyone.
Well, I'm sorry,
You can move.
Censor.
You can remove leadership.
remove leadership, right?
You can
So it
remove
would be-
leadership, or you can sanction. You can censor or sanction, whatever term you want
Okay,
to
then
use.
I think we should
in
add
the-
that, what you just
That's what
said
she
in
did.
there.
Okay, so, but that's not the motion. The motion is just for the removal of leadership for misconduct.
and to censor any commissioner for misconduct.
Okay,
So I need a second now.
so that was the amended motion.
Second.
So it's been moved by Williams, seconded by Payne. Do we have any discussion?
How do you define misconduct?
Well,
So
what
that
just
was
happened?
the original
What-
original discussion that we were going to send it to a committee and come up with some rules that govern us as charter people. So to be determined, I guess, is what would be. To be determined by the body.
If that's gonna be determined, so the motion on the floor now, are we going to amend that after the committee gets together and we all get back together to, or?
No, so we would not. So we would have to vote on
Okay.
the motion of what defines misconduct. So that would have to be a conversation that we have and all
Correct.
approve on.
Make it sure,
Nope, you're fine.
yes.
All right, I am moving for the vote. If there's no more discussion, doesn't look like it, let's go.
Stewart,
Yes.
Turpin,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Ramsey.
Yes.
8-1.
All right, we move to chair. And vice chair, does anyone have any changes, discussion, motions? Yes, Payne?
It says here that the chair shall preside over meetings of the commission, including ground rules for the meeting, or decided, speaking in order among commission. Oh, okay, I'll take that out. I guess that's right.
I mean, if
I
we're
would-
good with what we have, somebody can move for a motion to
Commissioners
accept it.
decide.
I just got a
Garrett?
quick question. We talked about having representation in public meetings. And so here it says, no other commissioner shall publicly represent the commission as a whole without the prior approval of the chair, it being understood that that foregoing does not limit any commissioner's right to speak publicly regarding their individual initiatives or undertaking regarding the commission or 22 charter review process. So are we okay with that language? Because it says, at one point it's saying, hey, you can't represent the charter as a whole, but if we separate ourselves as nine, and you say we having one on the south side, or we having these town hall meetings, or whatever we want to call them, now we're saying it being understood, so it's kind of like I need a little bit of clarity on that, just
Madam Chair?
Williams?
Yeah, so, the language is without prior approval of the chair. So any meeting that would be scheduled would have the chair's approval. So if Commissioner Garrett was designated to run the meeting at the District 1 meeting, and it was 3 people, you would chair that meeting, but you would have to get approval of the chair before that happens. Because you do have the possibility that 4 charter commissioners could just make their own meetings up as they go along without being done. So there has to be some kind of order there to make sure that it's designated.
and I'm with that, and I'm okay with that, and with that means I agree. As a whole, without the prior approval, then it says in comma, parentheses is what get me, it being understood that the foregoing does not limit any commissioner's right to speak publicly regarding their individual initiatives or undertakings regarding the commission or 2022 charter review process. So that is still giving somebody the ultimate ability to say what Commissioner Garrett may want, even though it could be in the opposite position of what the board wants. And all I'm saying is, are we okay with that parentheses language? I'm okay with it, because either or. Like I just, when I read it at home, I'm just sitting here like, okay, well, you can, if we're gonna do these meetings, like,
Can I clarify?
Yeah, yes.
I just want to speak to that situation. So, for example, we have the world famous Golden Opportunity Club. If Commissioner Payne wants to go speak to the Golden Opportunity Club, she shouldn't have to contact the chair about speaking there. The problem is when we speak as a body or a group of commissioners without the approval of the chair, because then the public can deem it as that is the charter commission. So the language in parentheses says, foregoing but not limited to the commissioner's right to speak regarding the individual initiatives or undertaking the commission or the charter review process. So you could have one-on-one sessions and walk through the charter with as many citizens as you want. It needs to be language that says that they're not speaking as part of the commission, because we've only had one chair. The problem is when you don't put that language in, you have people that are speaking and nobody knows who has the authority to speak for the body.
That's fair.
And that's why that parenthesis is there. But you also don't want to limit people from actually holding out their duties.
Gotcha.
If you go to a church and somebody asks you to speak on the charter, you don't want to have to call Chairperson Ramsey and say, "Can I go speak at New Bethel?" That just doesn't make sense.
okay, no, that's fair. I just want to make sure the language, we have similar languages in different organizations. I just wanted to make sure that we understand what that, and if we're okay with the parentheses. I'm cool with it. I don't have a.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Well,
Oh,
sorry.
nope, you're fine.
I had highlighted that area also, but then I also felt that including in that is like after group discussions, and whatever is said comes from the body of this charter, as opposed to someone giving their own opinion about, and then I have to be accountable for what someone says, and I don't agree with it.
Thank you.
That's all.
So is there a motion on the floor? What is the pleasure of the body? Do we want to make some changes in the chair and vice chair?
I move that we approve the language as is for chair and vice chair.
Support.
All right, moved by Williams, supported by Garrett. I'm calling for the vote.
Oh, we just
No,
discussed.
some clarification. Where are we? Meeting conduct of commissioners?
No.
No.
We are at the bottom of page 1, officers, chair, and vice chair.
Page 1?
Sir, yes. 1 in the top of page 2.
My gosh.
Y'all just make me so excited to come here once a month.
So we're talking about the duties of the officers.
Yes. Chair and vice chair.
Oh, okay, carry on.
Voting. We'll carry on with voting.
But a yes?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
I got
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra. Burrows. Garrett,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Ramsey,
yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you. So I am going to ask that we pause here, and when we pick up on August 25th or 22nd, August 25th, it is the 25th. August 25th, we will start back up with commission clerk, and hopefully we will get through this document. Please come with your notes and ready to have some very good conversation. Thank you. And I call the meeting to order at
Adjourn.
at 8:23.
No movement support, just adjourn.
Point of clarity.
Point of clarity, yes.
And I love how you address that, but ma'am, there has to be an
I was gonna
emotion
say.
to adjourn the
Okay, I'm
meeting.
sorry, I'm
There has to be
sorry.
a motion to, first, there has to be a motion to table
The rest.
the rest,
Thank
because
you,
we still
sir.
have an agenda that we have to get through.
We do. We
To
do.
table this, I don't know if we wanna call, to table this item, and then move to the next item, and then,
Oh, my goodness, yes.
yes, and then
This wore
move
me out
to,
so bad.
right.
Just trying to go home.
And then move to, right, and
I
so,
appreciate that.
right, so,
Okay.
if- I put a
So-
motion on, I
Go ahead.
put a motion on the floor to table this item to the next formal meeting.
Table.
Second.
Item.
To table item, I'm sorry, let me get to the agenda.
Okay.
The remaining
B.
items
B.
No, it's,
The remaining of
It's
D,
B.
E.
Vice
of the
chair.
draft items.
no, it's, no, it's, the agenda is, oh my God, this paper is driving me crazy. No, it's the agenda that we had,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
So I make a motion on the floor to table the discussion on the establishment of rules and committees for the commission. That was D. That's where we're at on the agenda.
Yeah.
So I need a motion on the floor to table that item.
You put the
Sec-
motion on the
Okay.
floor. I need a
I'm
support.
sorry.
Second.
Thank you.
Second, who
Definitely
second?
second
Jose?
Stewart, he's loud this time.
what do you mean?
Oh, that was
That
Stewart?
was Stewart.
Hey,
Yeah, that was
wow.
Stewart.
Well, I gotta look at you, cause your voice sounds like so many other people's. Okay, so it has been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Williams,
Yes.
Ibarra,
Yes.
Burrows. Garrett,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Ramsey,
No.
Stewart,
Yes.
Okay.
Turpin.
Yes.
That's 8-1.
No, thank you. I'm ready to work.
Okay.
Okay.
I agree.
We appreciate you, but
Right, you said you was ready.
Right.
You was ready to leave.
8:25.
Okay, but-
Still got another half hour.
Okay, but
I was,
okay, so we moved the table that, point of clarity, Madam Chair. I would like to move to discussion of development of the RFP for Charter Commission Attorney Services, because obviously we need, attorney services in these particular documents. So, I don't know what the pleasure of the board is, but that's why, I'm just making that point of clarity. I don't have a motion on the floor to adjourn.
So is the pleasure of the body to discuss the development of RFP for charter?
But we
Hold on, I'm gonna let the clerk go.
Madam Chair, so the mayor mentioned when the city council was going through the budget process that, excuse me, it was initially understood that the city attorney would be providing attorney services to the board, but the mayor said he did not object to the Charter Commission having its own attorney services. So that's what was put in the budget. I think it's $15,000 allocated for attorney services. So an RFP would have to be developed, which could be developed by the city, because still the city council would, because it's over $10,000, the city council would still have to approve whomever. But so that's why I put that on the agenda, so that the city could develop an RFP process, which I guess the commission could take a look at before an RFP is sent out. But an RFP would need to be done for Charter Commission attorney services.
As a point of clarification, our discussion would be, yes, we want the city to start working on this RFP, or no, we don't want the city working on this RFP, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Payne, was there anybody hands over here? Okay. Payne and then Garrett.
Oh, I was just gonna say, was it put before us? I thought we had adjourned, but then we're meeting, so do we need to open back up?
No, I made a mistake and Gil corrected that. So we did not
Just
adjourn.
table
We just tabled
this.
D,
Oh, we tabled, so
Yes.
we didn't adjourn. Okay,
and now we're trying to see if we're gonna move forward with E.
okay. And did you mention an attorney being present? Is that what you were saying?
I haven't got, I just have to get to that part.
Okay, because I would like if we're looking at getting an attorney in for clarification or for helping or whatever, I would like to see us go through this document and put in things that we want, and then hand it over to an attorney and let the attorney look at it and then give it back to us.
Yes,
And then we redo it.
Yes, but I think the process is the city has to start an RFP
Yes.
and create it.
Yes.
So if we say.
Oh, then we need to put that on the agenda for the next.
It's
Well,
on the agenda now.
what Commissioner Garrett is saying is that,
Oh, there it is.
so our discussion of development is either asking the city to do it or saying we don't need to do it. So I think that's where we are. Garrett and then Williams.
Okay. I wanted to move on this item today of having the city start the RFP, because there is some time that has to go into that. It still has to go before city council. Even though city council has moved there to weekly meetings, there is a forensic audit that's soon to be let out. There's some other things that may take precedence over other items that's going on in a particular city. So I would like to get this RFP out and done as soon as possible, and us to vote on whoever, or the city council to vote on whoever attorneys that the RFP have been answered to, and give us the ability to discussion. Because that's we're gonna need that attorney, and we don't want that process to be confused with, as you speaking to the citizens, the other processes that will be going on with the city.
Thank you. Williams?
I agree with having an RFP, but I'm very concerned about the scope of work and $15,000 being ate through very quickly. Attending 1 3-hour charter meeting, they would charge us probably $1,500 to $2,000. So just want to kind of flag that we need to have maybe a sample scope of work that other cities have been using for their charters, to really find out what we need versus just getting an attorney in general. So yes, I'm in agreement with getting the RFP done, but having some kind of scope of work in order to look at, in order to vote on beforehand, so we all know what we're getting out of our charter attorney versus thinking it's unlimited. And the reason I say that is because when I sat on council, we had a couple of council people that called the attorneys all the time, and we got billed for it because they were calling them with every question. So as a body, we need to kind of decide what the scope of work, when we're going to use the attorney and all that kind of stuff. That's not necessarily part of the RFP process, but is part of an internal mechanism that we're using.
So,
Payne and then Garrett.
and,
Is it, oh, and then Killian.
Madam Chair, I would agree with that and making that maybe on the agenda, but also going on and voting for the,
Just getting the RFP.
yes.
Okay, Garrett.
we just voted on, to your point, chair, vice president, at keeping the language as it, to what the document already says. So that scope of work would be determined between the chair or, as the language wrote that we just agreed to. To Commissioner Kermit's point, I think we have to develop when we want that person, just plain language, when we want that person here and when we don't want them here. And what documents we want them to overlook and what we don't. And for that RFP, for them to spell out what they would charge us for and what they won't charge us for. So that RFP development will be developed between the clerk to be able to pass on or be able to put the RFP out, chair and vice chair. I think make that decision to kind of what the scope of that RFP, so that the more information you put in the RFP, we get back, that way we'll be able to make a decision and vote on that. That's all I wanted to say.
Killian.
Just some clarification. The RFP that Clerk Doyle, do we have to ask for the whole 15,000 at once? Or, as the other commissioners brought up, once we get the cost of knowing something, can we issue more than one, is my, kind of my question? Or do we have to allocate and get RFP for the whole 15,000 and use it, as C put?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you proposing?
No, what I'm
Let
asking
them-
for clarification far as, they said we got 15,000 for this attorney.
Right.
Correct, right? Now, you're saying we have to go to council because it's over 10,000.
Correct.
And the question is, and one of the other questions that was brought up in the statement was that, what if we're not, if this attorney is only gonna cost 5? And we get the RFP for 15,000?
We don't have to
Do
spend
we
it.
have to, I know we don't have to spend it, but do we have to ask for the RFP for the whole amount in the beginning?
More than likely, the attorney would charge you in essence an hourly rate, and then you would just in essence know that you have $15,000 that's allocated for attorney services.
So we would ask for the RFP to be for the whole amount in this.
The RFP
No.
wouldn't have a dollar amount to
Right.
it. It would have a scope of work
Work,
connected
okay.
to it.
Right.
And so, as long as they are fitting within that scope of work, if it only costs us 5,000, then that's what we would be billed for, and then we can end the contract with that and then move on to somebody else.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yep.
But I agree with Commissioner Payne. Like, we can add the scope of work of the charter attorney to another meeting, but just vote on if we want the city to do this or not. So, can I call for the vote? I'm gonna have to talk to you and Mike McGinnis about these Robert's rules, yes.
Point of clarity, anybody can call for the vote,
right.
but it's always, depending on what you're asking for, it's always good to get a lengthy discussion.
Yes.
So that if you're the chair, and by you saying, instead of saying, any questions, comments, or concerns, and nobody says anything, then you can say vote. But when you use the word terms, call for the vote, you basically saying, I don't wanna hear nothing else, vote.
Okay, well, there are times that I do wanna say that,
And
so
that's-
it's good to know.
But understand that,
Yeah,
understanding
I'm
doing
writing
that, and and the length of the meetings that we have or the conversations that we have, it should be used sparingly as far as the chair is concerned, because you can very easily mute the whole conversation and there's no progression,
Yes, thank you.
if that makes sense.
It does, it
Yeah,
does.
okay.
And I think I have not, I've been saying call for the vote because I thought that's what I'm supposed to do.
No, you just, after that, the point of clarity is just saying, motion on the floor, second by, and then questions, comments, or concerns. Hearing none, roll call.
Roll call, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some times where like.
There are
people
some
just-
times you wanna,
Yeah, call for.
yeah,
the
you
vote
wanna call
because,
for the vote, yeah, but,
like, if I feel a certain way and
Yeah.
you don't, and we keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
We don't, I need to call for the vote, but I get what you're saying, so I will question comments or concerns and then,
Mhm.
and,
Roll call.
roll
roll
call.
call, yes.
okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Roll call?
Do you have a motion for this?
The motion, oh,
The motion, I
Right.
put them,
yes, there was a motion to vote on vote on the discussion of development, and I think, so what is the motion?
I put a,
Scott, a second.
no,
I don't think
there was never a motion. put
Motion.
on the
There
There
was
was
never
never
a
a
motion.
motion.
You
No,
just
there
said,
was
can
never a
we
motion
talk
put on the
about it?
floor. We had a
No,
discussion
it's
about it.
not.
Okay,
But I put a motion on the floor to develop, to start the development of the RFP for the Charter Commissioner Attorney Services.
I thought
Second.
you said that.
so it has been a motion by Garrett, second by Williams.
Any questions, comments?
Any questions, comments, or concerns?
So, I have to, you have to give me time to catch up. But,
I don't even know what section
we
it
were,
was
we
on.
were, we were assigned a budget for doing this process. Is that money within the budget?
Yes,
This RFP money?
yes,
So the RFP is specifically designated for whatever RFP stands for.
request for
And we're gonna-
proposal,
And we're gonna pull that money out of that, the money that was given to us in the budget.
yes, specifically for
Attorney.
legal services charter commission, $15,000.
I just gotta clarify.
So, the other way to do that is to get finished with the thing and then have the whole thing reviewed by the legal services. Are you talking about having reviews along the way? Oh, we better have that checked out. Well, maybe we ought to check this out. What about if we do the whole thing and then you pass it on to the legal services?
Well, I will give it to Garrett or Williams, but I believe the desire for legal representation is to make sure that we don't get to the end of it and it's like, oh, this is all illegal or this doesn't fall within lines of Michigan statute. So an attorney who focuses specifically on charter law, so we can ask questions and get clarifications in real time if we need it.
I'm
Will,
gonna say this. You have a document that was done with legal advice already in place.
Yes.
Now, there are some things that might need to be changed along the way. But, you know, every time you get to like a crossroads, you gotta send this over to a lawyer.
no, we would have the attorney here for us to ask questions.
Yeah, he's gonna charge you to do
Yeah, still money.
Can I clarify?
Williams, and then Burrows, and then Payne.
Yeah, just for, just for clarification, Commissioner Turpin, this is to start a RFP process. The Charter Commission at a future meeting will discuss that RFP and that scope of work. And so the points in which we engage with the attorney, or if we engage with the attorney, will come out at that point. Right now, we have zero legal representation at all, and we have no mechanism in which to bring it in. Last time, y'all had a pro bono attorney who used to work for the city who did it out of the kindness of his heart. Those people are few and far between. And so in order to be proactive, we need to be able to at least engage with an attorney if we choose to. Right now, we don't have a mechanism as a body to do that.
Burrows?
Just want to say, if we go through the whole thing, like we're not attorneys, so we just can't go through everything and then just give it to him. Like it's gonna be things that we don't know that we need to seek an attorney to get clarification. But I think talking to an attorney as things come up upon, like, I think that'd be better than just trying to figure it out ourselves and then give it to the attorney and let him look at everything. I think we should, like, go step by step instead of trying to do it all and say, here, look over this and see if we did it right.
Thank you. Payne?
Well, and all the bylaws and things that we've been through, I mean, what we do is we go over the document. We make changes of what we want to see in the document. And then once we do that, we give that over to the attorney for the attorney to add or subtract any legal or not legal things. And what happens is that you don't spend money on time, because otherwise we would have had an attorney here for 3 hours and going over one section or paragraph for 1 hour, and that would throw off us owing like $450. So that's what Commissioner Turpin was basically, and that's what I said at the beginning is that let's look at this document, get it where we want it, and then let an attorney look at it, and let's get the request
RFP.
for it, yes, let's get it going, and let's just, on the next meeting, decide how we're gonna do this. And putting this on the agenda for our next meeting,
Okay.
and maybe starting with that.
Thank you. And I just want to know that there is a motion on the floor. Williams?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, we are not voting on the lawyer or when to engage the lawyer at this meeting. What
Right.
we're engaging in is the city to be able to actually hire an attorney in and if we choose to do it. So people who think it's gonna be at the end, some people think it's gonna be in the middle, we have to decide all of that, but that's separate from what we're doing today. Right now, we're just starting the process to be able to bring services in-house. Right now, the only thing that we have working for the Charter Commission is the clerk's office. We don't have any additional staff for anything, and we don't have any way to procure that unless we send out an RFP, because that's the city's procedure.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Ibarra?
Yes.
Burrows?
Yes.
Garrett?
Yes.
Killian?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes,
Ramsey?
Yes?
Stewart?
Yes.
Turpin?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
9-0. Start the RFP process.
Now I can do adjournment.
Put a motion on the floor for adjournment.
I put a motion on the floor for adjournment.
It doesn't-
Second that motion.
second. All in
Killian
favor?
moves, Payne second.
Second. Aye. All in,
Oh.
aye.
Okay. Burrows?
Yes.
Garrett?
The boy.
Yes.
Killian?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes,
Ramsey?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Turpin?
Yes.
Williams? Ibarra?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 8:44.
Thank you, ma'am.
All righty.
All right.
Ooh, I got a month to get these,
I'm about to fight you, and I don't know if you like to hit girls. Maybe
Oh, what you want to fight
I got a
about?
question,
you don't. No question.
Madam Chair. I got
What
a
you
question.
want to fight about?
So